This is First Coast News at 5.
It's a race against time to find two firefighters who have now been missing for 5 days. Jacksonville firefighter Brian McClooney and his friend Justin Walker were last seen leaving a Port Canaveral boat ramp last Friday morning. They haven't been heard from since.
Here are the latest details that we have for you at this hour. Search crews have expanded their search area up to 90 miles now offshore. There are also teams searching as far north as the Carolinas. Coast Guard agencies have now searched more than 90,000 square miles. That's about the size of Pennsylvania and New York combined.
That really puts it into perspective for you. And a news conference is scheduled in about an hour at 6 o'clock where we will have an update on this search, and we're going to bring that to you live on the air and online. And tonight we do have live team coverage for you.
Let's begin with Heather Crawford. She is live at Mayport tonight. Heather?
So Jeannie and Anthony, volunteers once again stepping up to the plate, volunteering their time today to take their own boats out onto the water to search for these missing firefighters, Brian McClooney and Justin Walker, lost at sea since Friday. Now, some of them at this hour still out on the water searching for them because they were sent out 80 to 90 miles offshore, leaving from here in Mayport, also from Brunswick, St. Simons, St. Mary's, even Charleston, South Carolina. We've also had volunteers today go up in their own planes to look for them. But unfortunately, as of noon today, nothing has been found today or overnight last night. And the search area is expanding. We're talking about 250,000 square miles from down south in Cape Canaveral, near where they were last seen, all the way up to Cape Hatteras in North Carolina. A massive search underway right now. In fact, it's the most complex the Coast Guard captain leading this whole search says he's ever seen in his career. And based on what the Coast Guard learns from their search today and this evening, the captain says then they'll start having to have the discussions as to whether or not they can continue to actively search.
These drifted areas are approaching 250 miles and longer of area, and that's what becomes the problem. Is at some point your statistical advantage from sending a dedicated asset versus just a standard patrol asset, they start to become the same.
So as of right now, it is still an active search and rescue mission. C-130s have been up in the air. The Coast Guard cutters still on the water. A lot of volunteers still out there looking and looking. And you know, for the firefighters, this has been very grueling because these are two of their own. And Kaylee Tracy joins me now. I know today you had the chance to talk with Jacksonville Fire Rescue's chaplain, who has been there just sitting and praying with the firefighters and with the family.
Yeah, he says, Chaplain Golden, that he has checked in with the firefighters and the families every day as much as he can. He's always available to them if they want help or just spiritual support. He says he's there if they call. He is a 26-year veteran of the fire department here. He says he has always offered this spiritual guidance, but this is just a little bit different for them. And of course, they're looking for fellow firefighters in this search. And he says that can take a toll, not only obviously on these families, but he says it's a little different because it's these firefighters searching for fellow firefighters can take a toll on them as well.
We go in, we support each other. Sometimes what we do does have an effect on us, but rest assured that we're there to take care of our own, spiritually so, and to be there for them as they have any emotional, problems or setbacks from what is occurring.
Now, the chaplain also says that there are other groups offering support to the department, to these firefighters out here. And as I was saying, he's also offering support to the family. We'll have more. He talked to the family members earlier today. We'll have more on what they said tonight at 6.
And Brian McClooney's wife is saying, pray. Just keep on praying for a miracle that these guys are found alive and found safe. Thank you so much, Kaylee. And so coming up tonight on First Coast News at 5:30, you're going to hear from a woman who lost her husband at sea 20 years ago. She knows the agony of the waiting that these families are going through right now. And then at 6 o'clock, we're going to bring you that live press conference from here in Mayport, where Jacksonville Fire Rescue's mobile command headquarters is set up. We're also going to hear from the Coast Guard on the latest on the search to find these missing firefighters. Jeannie and Anthony, we'll send it back to you.
Heather Crawford is on our side tonight, live in Mayport.
And Heather, we know that there is a press conference that we're going to get some more information in about 30 minutes.
That's right, Anthony. So that press conference, that update expected to happen at 6 o'clock tonight with Jacksonville Fire Rescue and from the Coast Guard. We last heard from them at noon today, so we will bring that to you live as soon as they begin speaking. But right now, volunteers who came out today, again, offering their service to take their own boats out on the water to search for these two missing firefighters are still out at sea. Some of them were sent to search a grid area 80 to 90 miles off of shore. Now, the Coast Guard's had its C-130s in the air again today, the cutters out on the water, and then all the volunteer boats and planes. But unfortunately, still no sign of Brian McClooney and Justin Walker, other than Brian's tackle bag, which was found 2 days ago about 50 miles off the coast of St. Augustine. Now, the Coast Guard captain leading this massive search says they are facing many challenges right now. One of them, as Jeannie alluded to, is a person's survivability in the water for this long. They don't know if they're in the water. They don't know if they're on the boat, but that is definitely something that they are constantly evaluating. The other major challenge is the Gulf Stream, which of course tends to move things not only forward, but is also spreading out the search area.
The race that we're in is that the area is literally becoming so large, and that's why each individual clue becomes so important, because if we can't narrow back down, we're only in an expanding scenario right now, and it just becomes a incredibly large ocean.
Now, he says while he remains guardedly optimistic, the more time, of course, that goes on, the more complex this search becomes. And right now, the search area is expanding. It's growing. And so that makes it more challenging. So as these firefighters' families wait for any word on their loved ones, there's a woman we talked to today who knows what they are going through. First Coast News' Troy Kless is on your side. He joins us live now, continuing our team coverage. And Troy, you talked to this woman who lost her husband at sea 20 years ago.
That's exactly right, Heather. Her husband was never found, including the crew that he was with at the time, and she says that it was a tough experience to go through, but that she says that through God she was able to find a purpose to help others, and that's why she wants to reach out to the firefighters' families to help them.
It was going to be similar to what I had gone through when I received the call in regards to the Miss Fernandina missing.
Beatrice Jones vividly remembers the call she got from her husband, Kenneth Sr., in April 1999.
After the first day, I just went into a state of shock. Was numb.
A net was caught on Jones's boat propeller. He was waiting for another shrimp boat to come help, but when the boat reached his last known location, Jones and his boat were gone. After 4 days of searching, covering an area as large as the Carolinas, the search was called off. 20 years later, Beatrice Jones wants to help the families of Brian McClooney and Justin Walker.
I wish when I was going through what I went through 20 years ago that I would have had someone who had experienced something, like I was going through at the time.
And she wants to share a message with the families of these two firefighters.
Just stay prayerful, stay in God's Word. Stay connected to your friends and family because you need the support system. The journey isn't going to be easy.
Now, she says that God brought her to a point where she is able to, again, revisit some of those memories while still painful. She says that she also, again, wants to help these two families experiencing what they are going through right now. So we are attempting to get her contact information to those families as we speak. We're live in Fernandina Beach tonight. Troy Kless, First Coast News, on your side. Heather?
Yes, she definitely can relate in a way not many people can. Troy, thank you so much. And so these families are holding out hope that Brian and Justin will be found alive, that they'll be found safe and quickly. We're going to continue to keep you updated. And if you want to follow all the latest developments and the twists and turns of the search to find these missing firefighters, we have a live blog that we've been updating since Saturday on firstcoastnews.com. The second we get new information, we post it right there. Also, you can download the First Coast News app and turn on your notifications, and we will push alert any new developments in the search to find these firefighters. And tonight at 6, we will bring you the press conference, the briefing live, as soon as Jacksonville Fire Rescue and the Coast Guard begin to update us. For now, we're in Mayport. Heather Crawford, First Coast News on your side. Jeannie and Anthony, back to you. Chief Keith Powers and the U.S. Coast Guard captain in charge of this massive search telling us that they are going to actively continue this search and rescue mission through the night into tomorrow morning. And then after tomorrow morning, that's when they're going to have the serious conversations and discussions as to whether they continue to actively dedicate assets and resources to search for these two missing men who've been lost at sea since Friday when they went fishing from Port Canaveral. Now, the search today, unfortunately, has not turned up any debris connected to these missing men or their boat. Time, you heard the fire chief say, is their enemy. It has become their enemy. But tomorrow there will be boats going out. And so the important message they really want to get out to everyone listening right now is they need volunteers. If you have a seaworthy boat capable of going 60+ miles offshore that can be out for much of the day tomorrow, they could really use your help. They're not going to be launching any boats from here in Mayport. The command center will stay here, but they're actually moving the search efforts north. So if you can go out with your boat from Savannah, Georgia or Charleston, South Carolina, they want to hear from you. They're asking anyone who wants to volunteer to contact Jacksonville Fire Rescue Chief Barrow. And I'm going to give you that number. We're also going to post it on our website. It's 904-813-5315. Again, 813-5315. They're asking that you call that fire chief to coordinate, and they will give you assignments on where to go. So tonight, guardedly optimistic, but time, of course, is their enemy right now. It is a race against the clock. And while all of this is unfolding, the families of Brian McClooney and Justin Walker are holding on to hope, hoping that their loved ones will be found safe. Kaylee Tracy continues our live team coverage now. And Kaylee, I know the family, understandably, they didn't want to talk on camera today, right. But you did have a chance to talk with Jacksonville Fire Rescue's chaplain, who has been there with them.
Yes, and he, Chaplain Golden, he's a 26-year veteran of the department. He says he's always offered spiritual guidance to the whole department, but this is different. He has offered it to the firefighters here, and he says that this has definitely taken a toll on them because they are searching for one of their own. And back to the family, he met with the family today, specifically Stephanie McClooney, the wife of course, Brian McClooney, a Jacksonville firefighter. He says that he checks in on the families every day, whether that be directly talking to them through those firefighters who are with them, not wanting to overwhelm them. He says the firefighters are trying to stay optimistic, but the search does have emotional setbacks for them. That's where he comes in to offer support. And Chaplain Golden spoke with Stephanie McClooney today, saying her faith is carrying everyone else through this.
I told her that she's strengthening everybody else because of her faith. And she's, from day one, she's relied on her faith and hopeful and always spoke and talked positive. And she's really holding on to that. And she knows that all things are possible. And we're just holding on to faith and hope that, you know, it's going to be a positive outcome.
And that is the faith that they're all clinging to, hope that there will be a positive outcome in this. And I do want to add that Chaplain Golden says there are other support groups who have offered their help to both the firefighters and the families in this, Heather.
Yeah, they need all the support they can get right now. I met Stephanie McClooney in Port Canaveral on Saturday, and she is a woman of strong faith, a woman of grace, and definitely she's encouraging a lot of people as they continue to search for her husband and Justin. Thank you, Kaylee. And so there's one woman we talked to today who really knows what it's like for Stephanie McClooney and for the other family going through this, waiting for any word on where their firefighter husbands and family members are. Troy Kless continues our live team coverage now, and you talked to a woman who lost her husband at sea 2 decades ago.
That's right, a similar situation, Heather. Her husband sailed out of Port Canaveral for a shrimping expedition, but she got a call from her husband when his net got caught in the propeller of the boat, but she said that she wasn't worried, or he wasn't worried, because there was another boat coming to tow them.
It's a day that Beatrice Jones won't forget. Her husband, a veteran shrimp boat captain, sailed the Miss Fernandina out of Port Canaveral. When the boat malfunctioned, he called his wife and waited for another boat. That boat never found him. At one point during the Coast Guard search, 2 unresponsive bodies were found in the water. The plane had to go refuel, and nothing was found when they returned to the same spot. The search and hope for Jones came to an end, but she has advice and hope for the families of Brian McClooney and Justin Walker.
Just stay prayerful, stay in God's Word. Stay connected to your friends and family because you need the support system. The journey isn't going to be easy. You know, it's going to be a long journey.
Another woman who became stronger in her faith because of what she went through, and she wants to be able to help others going through a similar experience. So we are trying to get her contact information along to the families of Brian McClooney and Justin Walker. She said that if she can simply just be a pair of listening ears to them, then she would like to help out. We're live in Fernandina Beach tonight. Troy Kless, First Coast News, on your side. Back to you, Heather.
Brian McClooney and Justin Walker were last seen launching their boat Friday morning just after 11 o'clock. Around 6 o'clock that night, McClooney's wife noticed that her text messages to her husband were unread. At 8 o'clock that evening, the family contacts the U.S. Coast Guard. Then the massive search begins. Monday afternoon, around 2 o'clock, McClooney's tackle bag is found about 50 miles off the coast of St. Augustine. As of Wednesday, the search has covered more than 90,000 square miles. And so right now they are really in a race against time, but the search is actively continuing, an active search and rescue mission. They have plans to go throughout the night and into tomorrow morning. The big message they want to get out tonight is they need volunteer boaters to launch their boats from Charleston, South Carolina and Savannah, Georgia. If you're interested in helping and you have a seaworthy vessel that can go 60 plus miles offshore, contact Jacksonville Fire Rescue. We have all that contact information on our website. If you can't go out on a boat but you still want to help, this is a very costly search. The fuel alone costing thousands of dollars. You can make a monetary donation at jfrd.com. That is the latest tonight from Mayport. Jeannie will send it back to you.